We have seen the narratives for the entire season. It started out with Paige Bueckers at the beginning of the season, where people in the media, a lot of people at some of these big networks, were saying that Paige Bueckers was the Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. And then when it got to the second half of the season, and Juju has been taking over, she's had a phenomenal second half of her sophomore season, it turns to, oh, Juju is going to pass Caitlin Clark's scoring record. And that has been the conversation. Anytime Juju has a great game, people on one side are saying, oh, Juju's so much better than Caitlin. Look, she's actually the Michael Jordan of women's basketball. It's not Caitlin. And then people on the other side, anytime they see Juju have a good game, they want to pull up anytime Caitlin has had a great game.
In women's basketball, there's supposed to be a rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins. But the truth is, there isn't one. While Clark continues to make history, breaking records and drawing millions of fans, Watkins seems to be struggling. Despite the media calling her Clark's heir apparent, the reality is hard to ignore: empty arenas, dropping ratings, and no sign of the massive cultural buzz that surrounds Caitlin wherever she goes. Is Juju's drive for greatness turning into a dangerous obsession?
Shut up! Push! Push! Come on! Roll!
The truth is clear: Caitlin Clark didn't just dominate, she changed the game. Her long-range shots, viral highlights, and sold-out arenas made the sports world take notice.
Caitlin Clark set the record, as you can see right here, for the most attended WNBA game in the history of the league. Thursday night against the Washington Mystics, nearly 21,000 fans, including yours truly. Yes, the boys went out for a boys' night to see Caitlin Clark in person. It was incredible. Almost 21,000 fans. The reality of the situation is simple. Caitlin Clark has made the WNBA relevant. Her critics and haters tried to tear her down, tried to destroy her, attacked her fans, made her out to be this terrible person, said all these terrible things about those who support her. And how did she respond? By rewriting the record books. Nearly 21,000 fans in Washington, D.C. last night for the Mystics Indiana Fever game. And I got to tell you what.
Meanwhile, Watkins, despite her undeniable talent, is being forced into a narrative she hasn't earned. The pressure to be the next Caitlin Clark is taking a toll on her, both on and off the court. The real question isn't whether Juju is talented, because she is, but whether this created rivalry is sabotaging her career before it even reaches its peak.
Now, there's a lot of players in the country playing Division I basketball. Nobody scored more points in one game this year than you. That's the most.
That's great. Yeah. More to come, for sure.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark, who?
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Much respect there.
This isn't just about basketball, it's about legacy, hype, and the risky game of comparison. Who truly wins when the media pits two stars against each other? Not the players, not the fans, only the algorithms. Get ready as we uncover the truth behind Juju's struggles, the numbers ESPN won't show you, and why Caitlin Clark's shadow might be too big to escape. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because this story is about to get even crazier.
In a mirror a little bit,
Yeah.
but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career. But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like...
From the moment Caitlin Clark took college basketball by storm, the sports world scrambled to find her next rival. Enter Juju Watkins, a phenomenal talent in her own right, but one who was thrust into a battle she never asked for.
Is just a lot stronger than the other because of her experience and maturity.
Nice plays at home. So you have 2 assists and a bucket on the first 3 possessions.
Quarterback play, showing what made her
from the college courts to the professional stage in the basketball world by storm. Known for
ESPN, Fox Sports, and even Stephen A. Smith have relentlessly pushed the Clark vs. Watkins storyline, trying to recreate the magic of Clark's rise. But here's the problem: the fans aren't buying it.
So certainly they are the most important pieces for each of their teams, both capable of leading their teams to a Final Four. And I'm sure Lisa Bluter thinks she has the best player in the country, just like Gino Auriemma says he does.
Well, today, Rebecca, Tuesday edition is the teeth edition. That's why you and I are on today, because we both have a nice set of teeth. So Tuesday is the teeth edition for ESPN.
I love it. Bright whites, let's go.
The ratings tell the real story. Caitlin Clark's NCAA championship game drew 18.7 million viewers, making it the most watched women's basketball game ever. In contrast, Juju Watkins' biggest moments barely reached a fraction of that. Even worse, attendance at USC games doesn't come close to the sold-out arenas Caitlin filled at Iowa.
Right there's Clark working around Fletcher. Another chance here for Iowa, though. Sedano, the spin and the finish. Away by Sedano. Get ahead right in the lap of Warnock for two. Deep team. Clark looking to turn it in here in the semifinals. Clark will fire on three.
Up inside.
Clark turns the corner and lays.
Strong player here in the first quarter.
The media can shout rivalry all they want, but empty seats and falling TV ratings don't lie. This isn't real competition, it's corporate storytelling at its worst. Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark's stardom wasn't manufactured, it was earned. She didn't need ESPN to crown her, her game did all the talking. Meanwhile, Juju Watkins is being propped up as the anti-Clark, a narrative that's only hurting her. Instead of letting her create her own path, the media is forcing her into a mold she might never escape.
Caitlin Clark's Iowa jersey is officially headed to the rafters, and the Hawkeyes announced a fitting date for said ceremony. It will occur on February 2nd, which is 2-2. Of course, Clark's jersey number is 20.
Imagine being 19 and constantly told you're supposed to dethrone the biggest star in sports. That's the reality Juju Watkins faces every day. The pressure to match Caitlin Clark's numbers, her impact, her fame, it's an impossible standard, and it's clearly taking a toll. Watkins' efficiency has dropped, her turnovers have increased, and her body is starting to break down. The torn ACL she suffered last season is just the latest red flag in a troubling downward spiral.
She's made a turnover.
Oh, she's incredible win against the bigs.
And they won by 85 points.
Clark thrived under pressure because she created it herself. No one expected a girl from Iowa to change the game, she just did. Meanwhile, Watkins is drowning in expectations before she's even reached her prime. The media's obsession with comparing her to Clark has turned every missed shot into a failure and every loss into proof she's not Caitlin. That's not competition, that's psychological warfare.
Basketball player that she reminds me of, unless you combine multiple one, compare her to, is Steph Curry and what she does in this game. I mean, the low to come down in transition, to get to the rim, finish with contact passes, playing in transition. I mean, all of these things. And, I brain trying to think about a women's basketball player I could come up with was the combination of Toronto.
And let's not overlook the ugliest part, the fans. Clark supporters cheer for her greatness, while Watkins' so-called fans mostly just want her to humble Caitlin. That's not fandom, that's resentment masked as loyalty. If Juju keeps chasing Clark's ghost instead of creating her own legacy, she won't just lose the battle, she'll lose herself. Forget the narratives, let's talk cold, hard stats. Caitlin Clark didn't just break records, she obliterated them. Over 3,900 career points, setting an NCAA all-time scoring record across both men's and women's basketball. Meanwhile, Watkins, while impressive, hasn't come close to that level of sustained dominance. Clark shot nearly 40% from three on NBA range bombs, while Watkins struggles with a shaky 30% on far fewer attempts. Then there's the economic impact. Caitlin Clark's WNBA debut drew 2.1 million viewers, a league record. Her jersey sales outsold every NBA rookie, while Watkins' USC games struggled to fill seats, and her merchandise moves at a fraction of Clark's pace. The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just a phrase, it's a measurable phenomenon no one, including Juju, has matched. The most damning stat? Without Clark, women's basketball viewership drops 22%. ESPN can hype Watkins all they want, but the audience votes with their remotes, and they're choosing Caitlin every time.
Evades Van Lith. and drains it. My goodness.
My favorite WNBA player to watch was Maya Moore when the links were loaded. I was just growing up, like getting started and winning their championships.
If Juju wants to be the best, she needs to stop chasing Clark's shadow and start building her own empire.
For the USC Trojans, replacing and reversed NCAA tournament since 2014. Juju Watkins sends this one inside to Marshall.
A 6-foot divider, number 22, Caitlin.
Coming her if you're going to switch.
Prepare for this. They've never done something like this. Her first bucket in the 50,000 plus.
Divider, Caitlin.
If you're going to switch.
Interesting thing too. There's no real way for them to prepare something like this. As Caitlin Clark gets her first bucket in the 50,000.
It's just effortless for her. Just smooches it off.